1-0 Burnley! Scott Arfield! He's been threatening that recently, and all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. Here's Sir Rory now. On the outside, decent.
Barnes! He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Sir Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby.
Knocks it quickly. Finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell. Saved by the keeper!
Burnley won it to the end! That is magnificent! They deserve that!
On by Paul Patella. Off for a hat-trick.
He's got it! Hat-trick for Nathan Teller! Oh, he's on fire at the minute! 3-0 Burnley! It's Nathan Teller's day!
And Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby. Here's Benson. Can he go on the outside? Comes inside. Top shot.
Oh, the goal! Manuel Benson once more! That is top class! Burnley have done it! Fantastic! Clarence deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everybody and welcome along to the latest episode of the Turfcast podcast pre-game show with me, Joe Redman, ahead of this week's game against Luton Town. Of course, it is the rearranged fixture, which should have been played in the second game week, but of course the stadium or Kenilworth Ward wasn't ready. And in typical Burnley fashion, we're now playing them after a victory when the confidence is going to be up and Kenilworth Road will be bouncing. But I'm joined by Jamie Castle. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. As you can imagine, floating after the first Premier League win in Luton's history at the weekend at Everton. And yeah, as you say, I think if Gary Sweet could take some credit and say that he planned it to rearrange it after our first win, he probably will. Yeah, it's a good time to sort of play you home, and the Kenny's going to be walking on Tuesday.
Yeah, I can imagine. And it's just typical as well. We played Newcastle straight after they'd spanked Sheffield United 8-0 and then beat City. Now we're going to play you after you've got your first ever Premier League win. But before we get started, I just want to remind everybody that we are this season sponsored by Green King Sports, where football is more than a game. Green King Sport venues are showing every single televised Burnley fixture over the 23-24 season with over 900 sports pubs across the UK. It doesn't matter whether you're based in Burnley or Brighton, you can catch every single minute of the action. So please keep an eye out during the season for events, offers, content and competitions that will put you closer to the action. Now, Jamie, you've just mentioned the Everton win. Obviously, I've got you on Instagram, follow your page and the stuff that you create. I know that you went up to Goodison Park on Saturday. Just talk to me about the experience rather than the actual game. Like, how was it as an experience being there for Luton Town's first ever Premier League win?
Yeah, incredible. And I think like every away game so far this season, the away end has been bouncing. And even the train strikes tried to dampen our mood with everyone either having to travel up the Friday and back Sunday or drive up. But even with that in the rain, the away end was still in amazing spirits. And I think it's that fine between almost enjoying being here, because obviously for Luton Town being in the Premier League is massive, and enjoying being here and just making the most of it, because who knows how long we'll be here for, but also being a bit bullish about how we feel we can do here. So it's trying to tread that line. But yeah, the atmosphere, yeah, it's been incredible, and I think Edward has made a lot of it before in terms of, even despite, I mean, like Fulham away lost 1-0, even despite that at the end, the home end was basically empty and the away end was still singing and cheering the players off. And I think that's something that you'll see all season, like no matter how we get on, just 3,000 fans in the way and just having a great time, as football should be.
Yeah, fair enough. And talk to me about the game as well. Was it a smash? I mean, I've not seen any highlights, I'll be honest with you. Working Saturday night and working Sunday, so not really had the chance. And I don't tend to watch Match of the Day when Burnley get beat anyway, if I'm honest with you. But what was the actual game like itself? Was it a deserved win? Was it a bit of a smash and grab? Was it how did you get the 3 points?
Yeah, I would say it was a deserved away performance, right? I mean, I think if you look at the stats, Everton won XG by some way, had more success. But I think if you really break down the game, first 15 minutes they were on top, had probably 3 okay chances. One from McNick just past the post, and then 2 pot shots from Garner and Gay, which, to be fair, you take in this league that those sort of outside the box shots from great fielders. And then from then, the rest of the second half, I mean, we were excellent. We were great going forwards. We warned Everton a few times with some corners, some out-doughty crosses, with just pinpoint. Lockyer over the bar, Morris deflection, and then the first goal came from the Carlton Morris header off the bar. Bit of a scramble in the box, and Lockyer turned in, and yeah, as I said, the UAM was with limbs as they attempted to do, and then to score fairly quickly afterwards. Again, another set piece, an Alfie Doughty sort of left-sided free kick from that box. Fantastic finish from Carlton Morris. And then we were fairly comfortable, and then we considered a scrappy goal to make it 2-1, and then that's when the nerves kick in. Good to get to half time, but no, second half, I think it was a fantastic away defensive performance. A few chances for them, but nothing that you can say was clear cut. So yeah, I think if you look at the 90 minutes, Everton probably deserved to get a point. But if you look at an away side, newly promoted, would definitely say that the 3 points were deserved.
Yeah, I have seen the comments from Edwards, mainly Everton fans getting arsey about it, but he said after the match that before the match he fancied you because of the difference in styles. Talk to me about Luton's style, because I would have had Luton down as, especially as an away team, which contradicts the way you played at the Turf last season, but like a physical side that will try and challenge teams on set pieces, which is what I'd pretty much put any Dyche side down to. But obviously Edwards thinks different because he sees a contrast in the two styles. So tell me about Luton's style and how you think you'll play against Burnley.
Yeah, we're developing nicely, I think, into this all-round side. I think that last year a lot was made about our directness, especially under Nathan before, because I think we were definitely direct. If you look at the stats in terms of distance of passes and transition speed, like we were direct. Edwards has tried to transition a little bit more to a I hate using the word attractive style, because I think that sometimes that's a bit cliche, but a bit more of a ball on the ground style. But we can mix it up. I think if you look at the Wolves' home performance, we were very proactive in the play, and I think sometimes going direct is seen as this not attractive style of play, when actually it's just efficient in the way you use the ball, and that's the way I like to describe us as a team. It's just efficient. We've changed tactically a little bit. Last season we played that 3-5-2 with a single pivot of Nakamba with 2 8s, and and Jordan Clark as the 8s ahead. But we've transitioned into more of a wider team, using the wide areas well in a 3-4-3. Chiro Bene signed on a 3 in the summer, is electric. I think so far this season the fastest player. I think he recorded speeds of around 30 odd kilometers an hour or north of, and he's fairly rapid, and I think he's a big threat, especially with Alfie Doughty on the left wing. So in terms of the way we'll play tomorrow night, Tuesday night, I think we'll do a bit of both. I think it's all about using the ball in the right way at the right times. I don't think it's one size fits all sport anymore.
No, fair enough. It's going to be interesting because I do feel like your physicality might cause us problems. So I think the best bet for you would to be try and let us have the ball, even though home sides never really do that, no matter who they are in any league. So you'll probably try and impose your style onto it. But I think the best thing for you would be to try and be a bit physical. And this long ball stuff, yeah, like I said, it's not attractive. I agree. I watched us under Dyche for 8 years. And you know what? I never actually minded it when we were winning games and staying up in the Prem. The last 18 months of his reign did become quite tedious because it was just becoming a chore. But obviously you're not at that stage yet, and just winning games any which way you can and staying in the Premier League is obviously going to be a big thing for you. Just look at your last couple of results. Of course, we've just touched on it there. Beat Everton, a good win at Goodison Park. We'll forget the Exeter one because that's not what I'm bothered about. Luton, Luton 1, Wolves 1. So, yes, they had 10 men, but, a point to point, and especially your first point of the season. And then, of course, a narrow defeat at Fulham, who, Fulham have bags of quality. So, a narrow defeat there isn't really, the worst thing in the world. But that's 4 points from your last 2 games. Do you feel you've turned a corner now? Like, picking up points and potentially picking up points on Tuesday against, a Burnley side who admittedly haven't won yet. Then you've got Tottenham, then you've got the likes of Forest. So, you could be earmarking a couple of games for a couple of points here. Like, do you think you've now turned the corner into a team that can pick up points in these games?
Yeah, definitely. I think Edwards has spoken about it loads in his post matches, how we've progressed, and I think that is clear to see. I think Brighton and Chelsea away, the first two, obviously can't get much tougher, despite how Chelsea go in this season. I think we lost our way a little bit. We weren't, as you say, as aggressive as physical as we were last year, and that's what got us promoted last year. And we've just gone back to basics a little bit. And since then, we've just progressed game after game. I thought we were unfortunate to not get a point home to West Ham. Fulham away, I think, was backs against the wall, and despite all the possession Fulham had, we limited them to almost no chances whatsoever. And a keeper mistake lets them in 1-0, and you got over with that. And then Wolves at home, I think, going back to style of play, I think if you were to watch 90 minutes of Fulham and 90 minutes against Wolves, you think, is that even the same team? I think Wolves first half, we were fantastic. Should have been 2-3-0 up. Yeah, as you say, I got off. I think again, it's that cliche where it's hard against 10 men. I think we have 11 men. Wolves were still ambitious and were coming out and still trying to get the win. But then suddenly, when they're down to 10, they think, actually, let's just bed in 2 banks of 4, and that's what it did. So I think with 10 men, it was actually a harder game than with 11. So yeah, definitely turned a corner and definitely progressing. Obviously with the victory against Everton, and now we're looking at the game on Tuesday against you guys. I'm thinking this is a really good opportunity to make it 3 unbeaten, 7 points from 9, and then if we do go into the Spurs game with a lot of momentum, Spurs going to them, but you look at it, and I think they'll lose soon. So you think if they come to the Kenny, why can't we beat them as well?
No, yeah, it's understandable. Obviously, a win breeds confidence, and even like obviously we're in a position now where we only have 1 point, second bottom of the league. If we go to Cannon Ward and win tomorrow, it'll be the same for us. We'll be looking at these games against the likes of Bournemouth and Brentford and thinking, well, we can beat these teams. Talk to me about your ambitions for the season then, because of course, obviously, some people may recognise you if they watch the overlap. Me and you was on the overlap together. I don't like to mention it. But at the start of the season, I remember you and me and Nick, the Sheffield United fan from Sheffield United way, were just kind of like saying, like, yeah, whatever happens, happens. I was saying I think we'll stay up. I'd seem to remember you and Nick not being as confident. But what are your, like we just said, wins do breed confidence. What are your ambitions now for the season? Is it just a case of whatever happens, happens, or are you looking more towards that? Actually, we can actually stay up here now.
Well, I think for me, it's pointless to come into the Premier League and think, oh, whatever happens, happens. Let's enjoy it. The ambition always has to be 40 points, 17th if you can, and go from there, although it seems like 35, 36 points is usually enough now to stay up. So I think for any promoted side, even for you guys, right, you were by far and away the best side in the league last year. And I think even for you guys, your ambition should always be first year stay up. I think for any the gap now is so big for any side that should be up. Absolutely our ambition. But equally, we're not. We're fully aware of the challenge at hand, and I think, given what we've been through, it's all about just progress and I think putting ourselves in the best position that if we get relegated and go back into the championship, it's putting us in the best position that we can bounce back and almost become that yo-yo team. I think you look at it when you're in League One and League Two, and you think you don't really want to be that Premier League Championship yo-yo team, but actually it's not too bad financially for the club. Is fantastic. That's the absolute number one priority right now, is to get Power Court built, the new stadium, and then that puts us on a completely different footing to then progress. And I've spoken about it a few times, where even though the last 2 years in the Championship we were one of the best sides in the league over a 20-month period, having finished in the playoffs and then third to win the playoffs, you always had that inferiority against the likes of like West Brom and Norwich. Like, even though that they weren't a good side, you go to the Hawthorns and still be a bit sort of, whoa, this is a tough test. So I think getting that stadium, getting the money in, and putting us on an even keel with those sort of sides is really important.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I do like to not compare you to Brighton in terms of styles or stature of anything, but I seem to remember like 10, 15 years ago, Brighton didn't even have their own stadium. They were playing at the Withdean, which was just a running track in the local area. Then they built that stadium, and then it's just taken them onto another level. So Luton can look towards that and have them sort of ambitions. But you said there, like, you don't want to just be making up the numbers and say whatever happens. 40 points has always got to be the aim. What's your prediction for your season now? Because, like I said at the start of the season, not many Luton fans, including yourself, weren't expecting too much to happen. But now you're unbeaten in 2. You've shown that, against the not lesser sides, but against the teams that are going to be down there with me and you. Well, Luton and Burnley, not me and you personally. That you can get wins. So are you now looking at this and thinking, you know what? Because I look at the league and I think there's some bad teams in this league. You've got us 2. You've got Sheffield United, who I think at the minute are on to finish bottom. Everton, Bournemouth, Wolves. So are you looking at them teams and thinking, if we finish above 3 of them, which is very, very careful, we stay in the Premier League. Is that what you're expecting? What's your prediction now?
Yeah, so pre-season, I had Sheffield United, Wolves, and Everton to go down. I thought we'd finish 17th. I think for me, Luton has always been like a last day of the season sort of club where we just nick it on the last day and stay up. So I had those 3 sides to go down. I think Wolves are better than I thought they'd be. Everton are sort of on par, but I think could stay up. Yeah, as you say, I think we could. I think the game is built on fine margins, and even more so in the Championship. And you just take a confidence that if you look back on last season, who would have had Leicester, Leeds, and Southampton to go down? People might have got 1 or 2, but there's always that one club that surprises people. Brentford, I mean, they're a fantastically run club, but they're struggling at the minute. They really are fighting around for points. But who knows? Could they drop off if they lose Tony in January and not replace him? There's always going to be 1 or 2 surprises. West Ham were down there sort of up until March last year. So yeah, I'm still confident that we can stay up. But ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised if we were to down last day or to go in 18th. But I don't think we'll be bottom by any stretch. I think we will be within 3 or 4 points.
Yeah, I put a bet on Sheffield United to finish bottom at the start of the season. I don't condone gambling, anybody, before you all start throwing your money on stuff, although I do work for a betting company, just to get that out there. And then they signed well. They brought Harmer in, Archer in, and I'm thinking, they're actually going to be okay, but they've been poor. So I do think they'll finish bottom, if I'm honest. After that, I think we've had a poor start and our confidence is going to be rocked. I thought at the start of the season, obviously, but before you got this win, I thought you could be down there. I'm not a fan of Everton at all, but I do think they'll have enough to stay up. I agree with you on Wolves. I thought they were going to be a lot worse than what they are. Bournemouth, they've been worse than what I thought they were going to be. And Brentford as well. That's an interesting one because I've been earmarking that game recently as well because we play Brentford soon. Yes, well-run club, but at the minute they are struggling. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a long season for the both of us, but fingers crossed that we can both get out of it. Talk to me about your players then as well, because Luton's a club that not many people will know much about some of their players. Obviously, we played against you last season, so we're well aware. Big fan of Carlton Morris myself. Obviously, I think he runs it in the middle. So talk to me about some players that we should be looking out for that could hurt us on Tuesday night.
Yeah, Morris. Now, if we start the season, he has to bag at least 10 goals or more already on 3 for the season, which is a good return, albeit obviously two were pens. So I think, yeah, he's massive for us, and not only for his good goals, but he's the line so well. I think our centre halves are also massive. I think, given we're going to be down there, defence we're going to need to be strong, and that's where Tom Lockie comes in. Signed Mads Anderson from Barnsley in the summer, and he started slowly. He's starting to sort of grow game by game, and I think that's going to be a theme throughout the squad this season. Yeah, for me, the last 2 games, our biggest threat has been that left-hand side. So you got Chio Ogbene signed on a free from Rotherham in the summer on that left wing, and then left wing back Alfie Doughty, who, for me, looking at it right now, I'm thinking he could get in the England squad for the Euros. I think if you've got Chilwell and Shaw, who are injury prone, Rico Henry's out with his ACL, I think we're starting to struggle for left backs. And Alfie Doughty, he's only 23, fantastic on set pieces. He's rapid as well. Very brave on the ball, and defensively for a left wing back, also pretty good. So I think that left side for you guys against Roberts and Koleosho for me is where I'm looking at where the game could be won and lost.
Yeah, interesting, because obviously Koleosho's been very, very good this season, but tracking back isn't necessarily his forte, although he was switched the other side against Newcastle because he was up against Anthony Gordon. He's probably the only one with the pace that can keep up with Anthony Gordon. Connor Roberts, although he's been relatively solid defensively, he's giving the ball away a lot, so it's going to be interesting to see how you press us. If you press us, like I said, I'm not sure whether you'll let us have the ball or whether you'll try and get in our faces. I think the best thing for you to do would try and get in our faces and try and make us lose it, because we haven't looked as good this season as we did last season, obviously playing against lesser opposition last season. But, you know, this new style of play, we didn't expect to be giving the ball away so much. And that brings me on nicely to what you've made of Burnley so far this season, because, of course, not the start we would have wanted, but with my personal view, is probably the start we should have expected when you saw the fixtures come out. My argument has always been we are pretty much where we would expect to be with the teams that we've played against. So we shouldn't have beaten any of it. I know some people will argue, well, Sheffield United did well against City, they did well against Spurs and lost in the last minute, whereas we were beaten convincingly by both. Wolves, of course, have then gone and got 3 points against City. But to have a point against Forest, for me, out of the fixtures that we have, is probably where you'd expect to be. So I'm not panicking just yet. For me, our season starts with this game. I'm fully expecting us to take the next fixtures and climb up the table. I do still think we'll be okay. But what have you made of Burnley's starts of the season so far?
Yeah, as you say, I certainly wouldn't panic. It's been I think if you look at the average position of the last year's finishes and in the fixtures that you played this year, it's been one of the toughest. You say Newcastle, Spurs, City, Villa, Forest are still a good side. So yeah, it's been a very tough start. Clearly, you would want more points. And at the end of the day, I think, as you said earlier, it is a confidence game, and you almost, this game for you becomes absolutely huge, because suddenly if you lose away at us, then confidence starts to spiral down, and that's the Arha exactly. as a rival to us this season in terms of where we are on the table. But no, I think, as I said, you were far and away the best side in the league last year. But even despite that, I thought our games against you were fairly tight. I think if you look at Turf Moor, it was game week 2, so fairly early on, so it's hard to cast any sort of judgments. Obviously, we've changed manager since then. But 1-1, I thought that was a fair result. And then at our place, I thought we were the better side, and you guys got the penalty to make it 1-0. And yeah, that was a bit gutting. But for us, that gave us the confidence that actually we can be amongst the best teams in the league. So it'll be a tight game tomorrow night, and as you say, the season for you guys starts tomorrow night. For us, I hope it starts for you on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. But just quickly get our fixtures coming up off the top of my head. I can't remember them. Of course, it's Luton Town next. Then after that,
it's Chelsea game, I think, for you guys.
Thank you, mate. It is actually. You are right. I'm shocked that you got that. I was just waiting for it to load on my screen. But then it's Brentford. I mean, Chelsea have had a shite start, so that's winnable. But my problem with Burnley is we always give these teams too much respect, even though they've had a bad start. We're the same against Man United. Yes, we dominated the first half, but then in the second half, we just gave them too much respect and just ended up being passive. But then it's Brentford, then it's Bournemouth, both away, then Everton away, but in the cup, then Palace at home, Arsenal away, so write that one off. But then West Ham at home, Sheffield United at home, Wolves away, Brighton away, Everton at home, Fulham away, and then it goes into some difficult fixtures again with Liverpool and Villa before playing you guys again. So the next few games are obviously a lot more winnable than the first 6-7. So yeah, I'm hoping that we can start climbing that table. But what sort of game are you expecting then tomorrow night? How are you expecting Luton to line up against Burnley, and how are you expecting you to take the game against us? Do you think you'll let us have the ball, or do you think you'll get in our faces? How do you think you're going to do it?
No, I think we'll get in your faces. I think it will be a bit more like the Wolverhampton performance than the Everton away performance. I think at home, on the back of winning at Everton, the home support is going to be absolutely up for this. Because loss after loss and draw and just winning starts to get fans a bit down. But now you're almost a bit rejuvenated after a massive win. And it's just the confidence that if you guys were to go 1-0 up, then I think the fans now would lose a bit of faith, that they would have the faith that we can kick on. So yeah, I think in your faces, I think we'll be unchanged, 3-4-3, front three of Pregame, Morris and Brown, and I think that they'll press you from the start. And I'm not sure if you saw the playoff semi-final last year at Sunderland, but that atmosphere was just like the word cauldron is used a lot, but that was exactly what it was like, and Sunderland couldn't cope. And almost a similar sort of side as you say, I think we can be aggressive against you and win that battle as we did against Sunderland. Obviously, Sunderland didn't have any centre half back then, but I think we were aggressive, front-footed, and we took the lead early on, and there was no looking back. And I think that's our aim. I think the scar was massive, and Everton away was the first time we took the lead, and we know how important that is. So we're going to do everything we can to go 1-0 up. Otherwise, it could be a tough game.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I think that's probably been our main weakness this season, has been the defence. They just seem to crumble a little bit too easily, giving the ball away too much. Goalkeeper's not really settled in yet as well. Of course, brought him in from Man City in the summer. That's currently a big debate on the Burnley hashtag, whether we should be playing Muric or Trafford should have come straight in, but that's a different debate. Final one from me, mate, before we start wrapping up. What's your prediction then, mate? Obviously going into it with a lot of confidence, so fully expecting you to say that you think, obviously the home crowd will roar you on, and that's fair enough. I do think you'll have a big part to play, but what's your prediction, mate?
Exactly that. I think if it was at Turf Moor, it'd be a different story, and it'd be an even tougher game than it already is. But I think home could be massive. I'm looking at it with a little bit of a FPL lens as something that I take a lot of interest in, and I've got the armband on mom this game week, so I'm hoping for a goal or two from him. So on the 8 Red Hatter preview, I said 2-0 Luton with a Carlton break. So I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah, fair enough. I think we'll concede because, as I said, I think the defence has been a little bit shaky this season. I do think the home crowd will play a massive part. If anything, I think you're going to nick a goal from a set piece because you have looked good at set pieces, whereas we've looked quite poor against them. But I'm just hoping, it's probably more in hope rather than expectation, but I do think out and out, if you look at the team sheet and we play the right players, I think we can hopefully play our game and win the game. But I'm going to go 2-1 to Burnley because, like I said, our season starts this game, and I think I will not panic if we get beat on Tuesday, but I'll start thinking, right, okay, we can't hide behind these fixtures anymore. So I think the players will be going into it with that sort of attitude, and hopefully for us, of course, get a win. But yeah, fingers crossed for us. So it's going to be interesting to see. But final one for me then, mate, is where, just let everyone know where they can find you, where they can digest any Luton content if they so wish.
Yeah, so I'm Jamie Castle, and I'm on the Oak Road Hatter podcast. So we are at Oak Road Hatter on every social Instagram, and we're Oak Road Hatter Pod on Instagram.
Happy days, mate. Thank you for coming on. I know you're a busy man. Obviously, exciting times for Luton. Good luck for the season. Good luck in your battle to stay
Thank
up,
you, mate.
but obviously after Tuesday.
Yeah, same to you. I hope your season starts on Saturday.
Cheers, mate.